Hello, my name is Dr. Doug with HomeServer HQ. In this video, we will walk through the installation of the HomeServer HQ architecture. Now this video is long. There's no way around it. It just takes a bit to set up. But we're going to go through the entire process step by step. Now this is the hardest part, just getting it installed. But the good news is once you're done, you're done. And it's all downhill from there. Just about everything else takes very little time and very little effort. And that's due to very solid design principles employed during its development. Now the setup process is the same regardless of the circumstances. You can use your own equipment at home, or you can use a cloud provider for a quick demo. There are tutorials on the wiki that will walk you through either method, so head over there for more details. Now I'm using a cloud provider to simulate a home server for this example, and it'll cost less than $5 to do this method if you only have your server up for a couple of days. This will allow you to test things out and get a feel for it before you commit the time and money to set up your own server at home. Now I'm also using a made-up domain name, which you can also do for demo purposes, but I highly recommend you buy a valid domain name when you set up your production home server for numerous reasons. Now if you can precisely follow instructions and you know how to copy and paste, then you have the ability to do this. So let's get started. Okay, so here we are at the main site. The first thing you want to do is go to the wiki. Then go to the Getting Started section. Then to the Installation subsection. This installation process is the same whether you are using a made-up domain name or a real one that you own and control. This first step, Setup DNS, only applies if you are using a real and valid domain name. Basically, you are telling the entire world how to reach you. We are going to point everything to our relay server, and if you watch the architecture video, it explains this in more detail. You should have your notes ready with IP addresses and credentials for both servers. We're going to point these two records to the relay server IP address. Let me pull in one of my own domains to use as an example. My domain is selfhostedcloud.com, and this is on the web portal on GoDaddy.com, my domain name provider. The first step is to add a new record. For the type, select a record. Then for the name field, let's refer back to the wiki. The name is just the @ symbol, which is a shorthand for the base domain. So enter that on the provider side. Then for the value field, this is the relay server IP address, which is in our notes. So we'll copy and paste that value accordingly. There we go. Now let's add another record. For the type, we will again select a record. And for the name field, we will enter an asterisk, which is a wildcard for all subdomains. Then for the value field, this is also the relay server IP address, which is still on the clipboard. That's it. Those are the only two records we need to add right now. So press the Save All Records button to commit the changes. Now anytime someone performs a DNS lookup for selfhostedcloud.com or any subdomains, it will return our relay server IP address. Let's move on to the next step. Step 2. Log into HomeServer. Use the provided link to jump over to the Requirements section in the wiki. Then scroll near the bottom to the Other Software section. To log into our servers, we need to install an SSH terminal application, so we'll use Tabby for this example. Use the provided link to go to Tabby's website. At the top of the page on the right side is a blue download button. We are on a Windows machine, so we are looking for the one that ends in x64.exe. There it is, we'll download that one. Then navigate to the downloaded file accordingly. And double-click on it to install it. The default options are suitable for this utility, so proceed through the wizard accordingly. In the meantime, let's clean up our workspace a little bit. Alright, it looks like Tabby is installed, so click Finish to run it. We'll maximize the window. On this initial screen, I choose to disable analytics, and then click Close and Never Show Again. Then after that, go to Settings. In the top left corner, go to Appearance. For the purpose of this video, I'll increase the font size to 24. Then go to Terminal on the left sidebar. Under the mouse settings, change the right-click behavior to Context menu in the drop-down box. Then go to Color Scheme on the left sidebar. In this section, you can change the various colors for the font and background. I'll do a quick search for my preference, Material Dark. After you pick your color setup, ensure to select From System at the top. There we go, looks good. Now let's set up our server profiles. Again, on the left sidebar, go to Profiles and Connections. Click the New button, and then from the drop-down, select New Profile. For the type of connection, select SSH connection from the available options. We are first setting up our home server, so the name we will put for this profile will be Home Server. For the host, this is the IP address of our home server, which we have in our notepad. We'll copy that value to the clipboard and then paste it into the host field using Ctrl-V. Since this is a fresh installation on a Cloud VPS, the default port 22 and username root are correct. Now we just need to set the password, which is also in our notes. Copy the correct password to the clipboard. Then back in the terminal dialog, click the Set Password button and paste the password using Ctrl-V. Then press OK and ensure to save the profile. There we go, the home server profile is set up. Now let's do the same for the relay server. Click the New button again and select New Profile. As before, select SSH connection. Then for the name, we'll call this one Relay Server. The host field is the IP address for the relay server, which is in our notes. Copy the correct value to the clipboard and paste it into the host field in the terminal dialog. The default port and username are correct. Now we just need to set the password. Back to our notes and ensure to copy the correct password. Click the Set Password button and again paste from the clipboard using Ctrl-V. And press OK and ensure to save the profile. There we go. Now both profiles are set up and we're ready to log in. We'll first log in to the home server. Click the play button on the right-hand side of the profile to initiate the connection. Accept and remember the key when prompted. And now we are logged in to the home server. Perfect. Now let's head back to the wiki for the next steps. And over to the installation subsection where we left off. Step 2 complete. Now to Step 3, download and run script. This first command will perform the actual download. You can use the handy copy button on the right-hand side to copy it to the clipboard. Then over to the terminal window and paste it in. Press Enter to execute the command. You can then type ls and press Enter to list the contents of the current directory. There's the file, hshq.sh. The file's been downloaded. Then back to the wiki. To run the script, use the next command, bash hshq.sh. So copy it to the clipboard and then paste it into the terminal window. And again press Enter to execute the command. Now we are in the script utility. Take note that the mouse does not function as expected inside of the terminal window. To navigate and select options, you can only use the keyboard. Use the arrows to move between entries and Enter to proceed with the highlighted selection. This first question, do you wish to continue? Yes is selected, so press Enter. The next question, you are running this script as root, you must run this from a non-root user account. Do you wish to create one now? Yes. Enter your desired username. I'll enter my name, Doug, all lowercase. Then press Enter to continue. Enter the password for your user account. We need to generate one, so let's bring in a password generator from Bitwarden. Click Regenerate a few times and then copy the password to the clipboard. Let's also record this password in our notes. We'll call it home server, Linux, Doug, sudo, password, and paste the contents of the clipboard. The password is still on the clipboard, but we'll copy it again for completeness. Then back in the terminal window and paste it in. Press enter, and paste it again to confirm. New user has been created and the script moved into the user's home directory. Alright, sounds good. Okay, now we are at the main installation menu. There are a handful of options, but we want to select the first item, Perform Base Installation. No configuration file found? Create one? Sure. Enter a password to decrypt the configuration file. Now ensure you remember this or you will be irreversibly locked out. Be very careful on this step as there is absolutely no way to recover this password. In other words, it's better to be simple and memorable in this case. Let's go over to our notes to record this. We'll call it home server, config, encrypt, password. And since we just want a simple memorable password, we'll just use the word memorable. Copy this to the clipboard and paste it into the terminal window. And we need to confirm it. We'll go ahead and type it in manually just to make sure. Do you wish to use defaults where applicable? Yes, we'll use defaults. Enter your home server domain name. If you own a domain and want to use that, then enter it here. Otherwise, you can use a made-up domain name. For this example, we are going to use a made-up domain, so let's have some fun. We'll use the domain hakuna.matata and press enter to proceed. Enter your home server name with desired formatting, i.e. with capitalization, spaces, etc. Basically, think of it as a formal company name that would appear on letterhead. For this example, we use capital Hakuna, space Matata, comma, Inc. and press enter to proceed. Enter an abbreviation for your home server, 3 to 10 alphanumeric characters. This will be used as a default prefix for admin usernames as well as some other uses. We'll use the acronym for Hakuna Matata Inc., HMI, and press enter to proceed. Enter your time zone. If you use the provided link, it will take you to the Wikipedia page with a list of all time zones. The column that you want to pay attention to is the second column from the left, EZ Identifier. Scroll down until you find your desired time zone. I am in America/Chicago, so this is what I would enter. And this has already been set by default. So press enter to proceed. This next option refers to changing the default SSH port. A random value has been generated for us, port 9360, so we'll use that. Let's record this in our notes. We'll call it home server, SSH port, and record the port number, 9360. Good. Now back to the terminal window and press enter to continue. Enter the username for your first home server user account. We'll discuss the purpose of this account shortly. It defaults to our current Linux username, so we'll use that. Enter the password for your home server user account. We need to generate this, so we'll use the password generator to do this. Click regenerate a few times and then copy the password to the clipboard. Then we'll record this in our notes. We'll call it home server user Doug password and paste the contents of the clipboard. The password is obviously still on the clipboard, but we'll copy it again for clarity. Then back to the terminal window and paste it in. and again to confirm. Do you want to install a desktop environment for this machine? This is not recommended as this equipment should be used as a dedicated server. So we'll select No for this option. Now we are going to set up the network architecture. You can either configure this now or set it up later. Since we have set up a relay server, we are going to choose the first option, host a VPN. Enter your desired SSH port for your relay server. This is similar to the same option on our home server, and in fact it defaults to the same port, 9360 in our case. So let's record this in our notes. We'll call it relay server SSH port. And actually, let's move this up one line underneath IP address and record the value, 9360. Then back to the terminal window and press enter to proceed. Enter the current Linux OS username for the relay server. We have not changed this yet, so the default root is correct. Enter a new Linux OS username to add in place of root. It defaults to our home server's Linux OS username Doug, which is fine. Enter the password for this new user account. Let's pull up our password generator to create one. We'll click regenerate a few times and then copy it to the clipboard. Then to our notes to record this. We'll call it relay server, Linux, Doug, sudo, password. And then paste the new password from the clipboard. The password's still on the clipboard, but we'll copy it again for clarity. Then over to the terminal window and paste it in. And again to confirm. Enter the IP address of the relay server. If you're using a valid domain and you pointed your DNS records correctly in step 1, then it should have guessed the correct value. However, we are using a made-up domain, so we'll have to enter it manually. We have this value in our notes, so let's grab it from there. Now ensure you have the correct entry and copy it to the clipboard. Then replace the incorrect value in the terminal window. And press enter to continue. Enter the current SSH port for the relay server host. This is a fresh installation and we have not changed this yet, so the default value 22 is correct. Enter the password for your relay server Linux OS root account. This is already in our notes, so let's grab it from there. There's the entry you were looking for, relay server Linux root password. Copy it to the clipboard and then over to the terminal window and paste it in. After this final step, you'll be presented with a bunch of output. If you scroll to the bottom, you'll see some instructions. Ensure to read through all of it. In short, it will instruct you to scroll all the way up to the top and copy everything within the hashtag borders. To do this, simply select the text with your mouse and it will automatically be copied to the clipboard. Then let's go over to our notepad to retain this. We'll add a separate tab for this in our notepad, and then just paste the contents of the clipboard. We'll scroll up to double check that we got everything. Looks good, so we'll head back to the terminal window. Now let's get the installation process started. As you can see on the last line, we type the word install to kick it off. Type it in and press enter, and there we go. The installation has started. This will take 10 to 15 minutes to complete depending on your hardware specifications and download speed. In the meantime, let's log into the relay server to monitor the progress. But first, we need to update the profile with the proper credentials. Back in our notes, we need to grab the sudo password for our relay server Linux user account, Doug. So we'll copy that to the clipboard, and then back to Tabby. Click on the relay server profile in order to edit the connection. We'll first update the username, in our case to Doug, Then we'll update the password. Click the Forget Password as indicated, then click it again to set the password. Paste the updated password using Ctrl-V, then click OK and ensure to save the changes. Now let's log into the Relay server by pressing the play button on the right. Accept and remember the key when prompted, and now we are logged into the Relay server. But we cannot see the installation progress. Back in our configuration file, we need to grab a command. Scroll down to the instructions, and there's the command we want, screen-r hshq install. So copy that command to the clipboard, and then back to the terminal window and paste it in. Press enter, and now we have resumed the background screen, and we can monitor the installation progress of the Relay server. Both servers are actively installing right now, so we'll move this to the side and prepare some other items. Let's go over to the wiki for the next steps. Step 4 is in progress. Now let's move on to Step 5, set up email DNS records. This step only applies if you are using a valid domain name that you own and control. There are 6 records that we need to add, and the specific info is in our configuration file. While we are here, let's take a quick look at this file. This first section is general info, and it is partitioned as indicated. The next section is DNS info, and the final section is user WireGuard configuration. We'll be using all of this information shortly, but right now we just need to focus on the DNS info. Under general are the first 2 records, and you should have already added these in step 1. Now we need to add the records for email. Let me pull in my domain name, selfhostedcloud.com, so we can demonstrate how to add them. Just a quick note, I have created a separate configuration file and replaced the domain name with selfhostedcloud.com, just for the purposes of this demonstration. Let's look at the first item. The type is MX, name is the @ symbol, priority is 0, and the value is a longer string of text. Since the text is longer, let's copy that to the clipboard. Then over to the domain provider to add the record. Click the Add New Record button. For the type, we'll select MX. Then for the name, we'll input the @ symbol, which represents the base domain. Then for priority, we'll set it to 0. And finally, for the value, paste it in from the clipboard. Now let's bring up the configuration file and arrange the window for comparison. Everything matches, so let's move on to the next record. Take note that all of the remaining records are TXT records. On to item 2. We will again copy the value field since it's longer, while taking note of the other items. Then over to the domain provider and add another record. For the type, it is a TXT record. For the name, it is again the @ symbol. And for the value field, paste from the clipboard. That looks good, so on to the next one. Take note of each of the fields, and then copy the value field to the clipboard. Then over to the provider and add another record. The type is TXT. Name is an asterisk, which is a wildcard for all subdomains. And for the value field, paste from the clipboard. And on to the next item. The name is a little bit longer on this one, so we'll copy it to the clipboard. Add another record. Type is TXT. And then paste the name from the clipboard. Then let's grab the value. Copy. Paste. Done. This next record is a bit longer, so we'll resize the window so we can see it better. The type is TXT, and let's copy the name field. Add another record. Type TXT. Paste the name field. Then let's grab the value field. The value is significantly longer on this one, so ensure you get all of it. Looks like we got it all, so copy it to the clipboard. And then paste it accordingly. For this final record, we are unable to add it right now because the domain key isn't set. This is described in more detail on the wiki. Basically, we cannot add this until after the initial installation. So we'll come back and finish this up in a little bit. Back in the domain name provider, let's give this one more quick review. Looks good, so we'll save all records to commit the changes. Perfect. We're done with this for now, but we'll keep this tab open for the last item. Back to the wiki and on to step 6, prepare WireGuard VPN connection. Using the provided link, let's go to the WireGuard site to obtain the software. We're on a Windows machine, so we'll grab the Windows installer. Navigate to the downloaded file, then double-click on it to install. Let's clean up our workspace a bit and remove any unneeded items. Then open up your configuration file. Locate the User WireGuard configuration section. If you are using a made-up domain name, like we are in this case, then there is one extra step that we must perform. If you own your domain and you have pointed the DNS records correctly, then skip this step and leave it as is. But for us, we need to grab the relay server IP address from the other tab. Ensure to copy the correct item. Then back in the WireGuard configuration, locate the endpoint near the bottom. We need to replace the domain name with the IP address on the endpoint as shown. Ensure it still ends with :51821, which is the port number. Just change the name portion only. Next, copy the entire configuration within the indicated boundaries to the clipboard. Then pull up the WireGuard utility. On the bottom left, on the Add Tunnel button, click the down arrow and select Add Empty Tunnel. Clear out the existing contents and then paste from the clipboard. Let's give this configuration a name. We'll just use our domain name, hakuna.matata. Everything looks good, so we'll save the profile. We're not going to activate it just yet, we just want to get things prepped. In the meantime, we'll continually clean up our workspace. Now let's check in on our servers and the installation processes. It looks like the relay server has completed as per the provided output. The session has been closed due to rebooting. This is good. Let's close out this tab. And the home server has completed as well, and the session has closed. So we'll close that tab out too. Before we can log in again, we need to update the usernames and ports for each of the two servers. Let's first edit the home server profile. Back in our notes, let's get the info we need. We'll take note of the port 9360, then copy our home server sudo password to the clipboard. Back in the terminal dialog, we'll update the port to the new one, 9360, and then we'll update the username, in this case Doug, and then the password. First click the forget button, then click the set password, and then paste from the clipboard using Ctrl-V. Then click OK, and save the changes. Now let's do the same for the relay server. Over to our notes. The port is the same on the relay server, and copy the sudo password to the clipboard. Then over to the terminal dialog, update the port to 9360. The username is correct as we had changed it earlier, and then let's update the password. Forget, set, paste, OK, and then save. Let's log into our home server. Accept and remember the key. And there we go, looks good. Let's also log into our relay server. Same as before, accept and remember the key. And we're logged into the relay server. Since both servers are up, we'll move this to the side for now. Next, we'll activate our WireGuard connection. Click the Activate button in the WireGuard window. It shows status as active, and if we scroll down a little bit, we can see that data has been sent and received. This is good. Back on the wiki, if we go to the Prepare a WireGuard section, use the provided link to view your external IP address. There is our external IP address, so let's compare that with our notes. As you can see, this matches our relay server's IP. This means that all of our internet-bound traffic on this current device is being routed through our relay server. This step is complete. Let's clean up our workspace and move on to the next step. Now we're on step 7, install root CA public certificate. Instructions are provided for various operating systems and devices, so refer to these accordingly. Back in our notepad, let's go to the configuration file. At the very top, find the root CA URL. Then copy the provided link to the clipboard. Then over to our browser and paste the link into an empty tab. This should automatically trigger a download of your root certificate. Navigate to the downloaded file. There it is, but before that, let's clean up our workspace a bit. This is a constant habit of mine if you can't tell already. Don't need these anymore, so we'll close them out too. Alright, back to the root certificate. Double-click on the downloaded certificate, then click Open when prompted. On the subsequent dialog, click the Install Certificate button near the bottom. On the next prompt, you can either select Current User or Local Machine for all users. We're just going to install this for the current user. For the next prompt, ensure to select the second item, Place all certificates in the following store, then go to Browse. Select the second item down, Trusted Root Certification Authorities, then go to OK. Then click on Next, and then Finish. You'll receive one final confirmation, click Yes, and the final notice that the import was successful. Good. The certificate is now installed on this device. The base installation steps are complete. Now let's open up the home page. In the configuration file, locate the home page URL, the second item down. Copy the provided link to the clipboard. Then in your browser, paste the link into an empty tab. Depending on the type of browser you're using, you might receive this error. We are using Firefox, so we will have to unfortunately restart our browser for the certificate to be recognized. Now, as always, keep the workspace clean and reopen the browser. Now we'll copy and paste the homepage link into the browser. And there we go, a good trusted connection to our homepage. We can access the certificate chain by clicking on the Secure Lock at the top. Click on the View Certificate button, and then you can see that there are 3 certificates in the chain: the root, an intermediate, and a leaf certificate specifically for the homepage. If you are still having issues with Firefox, you might need to fix one setting. Open up in a new tab and type about:config in the address bar. Then in the search box, search for the word Enterprise. The setting security.enterprise roots enabled must be set to true. If you are using a Chromium-based browser such as Brave or Vivaldi, you shouldn't have to do any of this. They usually recognize the certificate right away. Now let's log into our administrator email. In the configuration file near the top, you'll see the admin username and password. Copy the admin username to the clipboard, and then over to the home page and click on the Mail You link. Paste the email address, and then let's grab the password. Copy it to the clipboard and then paste it accordingly. Then click on Sign in Webmail. You should have at least one email in your inbox, your public root certificate. You will need to install this certificate on any device on your private network, as we just did on this desktop. Good. Now let's go back to our configuration file. and we want to log into script server. Copy the provided script server URL to the clipboard, and then paste it into an empty tab in your browser. We need to grab the credentials, which are also in the configuration file. Grab the username, and then the password. There we go, and log in. You'll see the different groups of functions on the left-hand side. But right now we just want to focus on the services group. Go to the second item down, install all available services. Ensure to read the provided instructions. To run this function, we need to enter some passwords, which is in our notes. We first need our home server sudo password, so copy that to the clipboard. Then over to script server and paste it in. We also need the config decrypt password, so let's grab that. There it is. Copy it to the clipboard, and then paste it in. Then press the execute button to start the procedure. This process will take quite a while to complete, at least 45 minutes to an hour. So we'll fast forward through it and wrap everything up after it's done. Alright, it looks like everything has completed, and if you look at the end of the log output, you'll see that the configuration file has been encrypted. Now ensure you see this message after any function that requires the decrypt password. Now another quick item, we can check how long this took to complete. The end time is 21:15. Let's scroll up and look at the start time. It started at 20:37, so it took around 38 minutes, but again, a lot of this depends on your download speed. Alright, let's go back to the home page. And then we'll refresh the page. And now you can see all of the services that have been installed. This pretty much wraps up the installation process. We will look at the post-installation steps as well as a brief tour of everything in the next video. If you made it this far, pat yourself on the back. This is about as hard as it gets. In the next video, we will take a tour of the system so that you can get your bearings. There are a few post-installation steps that we need to do, and we'll also demonstrate how to add more users and devices. That's all I have for today. In closing, stay safe, keep your system up to date, and always back up your data. And if you have any questions or need help, just ask. My name is Dr. Doug. Until next time, God bless.